The night everything changed, missiles in the sky, cities on fire, and an entire region on the edge of collapse. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes into the heart of Iran. No warnings, no additional sanctions, bombs, on military sites, on missile installations, and directly targeting the leadership of the Islamic Republic itself, the supreme leader, the president. They called it Operation Epic Fury, and within hours, Iran responded in a way nobody had anticipated, not by hitting Israel alone, not by targeting Americans only. Iran fired on everyone. 40 missiles rained down on Israel, sirens screaming, civilians running for shelters. A nationwide state of emergency declared. But that was the part everyone expected. What shocked the entire world was what came next. Iran targeted every single American military base in the Gulf, Bahrain, Qatar, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. In Iraq, American soldiers scrambled in real time to intercept a missile heading directly toward their installations. This wasn't theoretical anymore. American troops were dodging Iranian missiles with seconds to spare, and then came the news that hit like an earthquake. Iran struck the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, the most powerful naval force ever deployed in the Gulf. Hit. Miraculously, no casualties, but hit. Tehran's message to Washington was ice cold and impossible to misread. We can reach you, wherever you are. In the UAE, air defense systems managed to intercept several Iranian ballistic missiles, but the debris from those intercepts rained down onto a residential neighborhood. One civilian was killed, not a soldier, not a military target, an ordinary person going about their life in a city that had nothing to do with this war. Dead because of decisions made thousands of miles away. That was the moment the nature of this crisis fundamentally changed. Because here is what nobody is talking about enough, and it is the most explosive element of this entire story. Iran didn't just attack American and Israeli targets. Iran attacked Arab countries, Muslim nations, neighbors, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the UAE, Bahrain, countries that share with Iran a religion, a history, a geography, countries that had spent years walking a diplomatic tightrope, carefully balancing their relationships with both Washington and Tehran. In a single night, Iran cut that tightrope. Qatar declared it had successfully intercepted multiple attacks on its territory and fully reserved its right to self-defense. Saudi Arabia warned of grave consequences from what it called a flagrant violation of national sovereignty. The UAE labeled the strikes a cowardly act and declared it reserved the right to respond. With a civilian dead on their soil, those are not empty words. Jordan condemned the attacks directly in the name of King Abdullah II. And the most stunning of all, Lebanon, where Hezbollah, Iran's most powerful armed proxy, holds enormous sway, Lebanon condemned Iran. When Lebanon condemns Iran, understand what that means. Iran just alienated an entire region in a single night. While the missiles were still flying, Trump announced major combat operations. Strikes that reportedly sent smoke rising just hundreds of meters from Khamenei's own offices. Senator Graham declared that the mothership of terrorism was about to sink. Senator Mullen addressed the Iranian people directly, telling them it was time to take their country back. But at the same time, and this is the defining contradiction of this moment, Witkoff and Jared Kushner were rushed to Geneva to negotiate, bombs dropping on one side, diplomats talking on the other, war and peace being conducted simultaneously by the same administration. Oman took a radically different position from every other Gulf state. Rather than condemning Iran's retaliation, Oman condemned the American and Israeli strikes that triggered it. The Omani Foreign Ministry called for an immediate ceasefire and demanded an emergency UN Security Council meeting. That is not insignificant. Oman has been for decades the quiet intermediary between Washington and Tehran, the country that keeps back channels open when everything else collapses. When Oman sounds the alarm, it means the people who understand Iran best are frightened about what comes next. Here is where things stand right now, and look carefully at this picture. Iran has proven it can strike the U.S. Navy. It has proven it can simultaneously hit half a dozen sovereign nations. It has demonstrated a willingness to escalate far beyond anything anyone thought possible. And multiple Arab countries have now officially declared they reserve the right to respond. If Saudi Arabia retaliates against Iran, We are no longer talking about an American-Israeli operation. We are talking about a total regional war over territories that control a massive share of the world's oil supply, in a geography where every escalation risks pulling in more players, Turkey, Russia, China, all watching, all calculating their next move. Somewhere in Bahrain tonight, smoke is still rising above a naval base that was supposed to be untouchable. In Dubai, a family is grieving someone who never came home. In Geneva, diplomats are negotiating with a country that just fired missiles at American warships. And nobody, not in Washington, not in Tel Aviv, not in Tehran, not in Riyadh, fully controls what has just been set in motion. There is only one question left: who blinks first? And is blinking even still an option? Subscribe right now. This story is moving faster than anything we have covered before, and you cannot afford to miss what comes next.